antifreeze dripping out of somewhere really bad. Coming from my cylinder head gasket. Well, finally got my dipstick, so I can now get that installed in the engine, fill it up with oil. I installed an oil pressure gauge into my homemade sending unit adapter. I'll probably show that in this video or the next. We have one kind of major problem that one of my concerns was I wanted to get this sandblasted before I put it on because it was all dirty, but turns out it's not going to matter because the hood's not going to clear the alternator. I didn't put it on there, but I don't have to. I know the distance on the car. It's going to be up too high. So what I'm doing is ordering more parts. They make a Summit Racing bracket that'll put the alternator kind of down here. And basically the center line of this pulley lines up almost even with this. So it'll be down quite a bit. So I have gone ahead and found all the bolts. Not the right bolts, but I got them out of my bolt bin and make sure they all were the right length. I'm going to hook up my final starter wire, throw a battery in this thing, and we're going to crank it over and make sure I got oil pressure. As long as I do, we're throwing spark plugs and the ignition system in it, and all we'll have to do is add a little fuel and this thing will run. Well, here goes nothing. Starter should be installed and we should be able to crank it over and have oil pressure. Let's see if it works. Okay, well, it cranked over. I have yet to see oil pressure. Let's try that again. Oh, there it goes. I saw the hose move. And we got like 30 pounds. I don't have that fitting super tight in there, so I didn't know if it was going to leak. But yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Battery is really weak, but ran up to about 40 pounds at cranking, so that should be half the battle. Oil filter should be filled. We should have oil pressure. We'll next step's going to be to throw the plugs and coils on it and give it some fuel, and this thing should run. I do still have to get the crossover tube and the intake mounted, so obviously we'll have to do that before we throw gas in it. But all right, so I finally got the right gaskets for the intake, it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and get the intake manifold stuck on, and I got the new seals for the coolant tube that bolts into the cylinder heads. So you get this stuff all put together, and we are so close to hearing this thing run. I've gone ahead and I got my coils all mounted and plug wires are all installed. I'm not liking the clearance on some of these wires. I had to kind of bend the inside the boot to get clearance from the header. We may have to wrap those or do something different there. Like with the straight shields on, they actually like touched the header, so I had to bend it. Anyway, my next dilemma is I need to get through this firewall. Gonna probably use this hole, except I need to make it large enough that I can fit these connectors through, so that way I can run the MSD box on the inside of the car and keep it out of the weather. All right, well, I got them all to fit through there. So I got both harnesses, the ones that run to the coil and the temperature sensor. And then this is the crank and cam position sensor connector. So this other wire here, I'm not sure. I think this is just 12 volt positive feed to the ignition. I'm going to put some new grommets and I'll fix all this. I'm pretty sure all these other wires will get pulled out because they're part of the old MSD ignition that I have a 6AL box that's mounted to the firewall here. And so I'm going to be pulling that one out, and we're going to be installing the LS series ignition controller. Basically these two connectors, a couple extra wires, and we'll have ignition. Not sure exactly when I'm going to do this, but the dashboard has to come out because I have a cover to fix these nasty looking cracks, and we're going to try and make the inside of this car look good too. So lots and lots of work to do. All right, so I got pretty far. This is my original constant power and ignition turn on that I had running the MSD. I'll push this back through the firewall once I get the wires pulled out for hooking up a relay. But we're gonna put a 30 amp relay in here because that's what the ignition box requires. But I have everything grounded, tied off, coolant temp sensors mounted, both coils are in. This thing's basically ready to fire. All I need to do is hook that relay up and give myself a 12 volt signal to this wire. I still have to tie the gray wire and this pink wire together for the tachometer. And then launch control is the blue wire and the pink wire is my 2-step. So what I did was I got some sound dampener that I had and put that underneath the new MSD box. And I also have to run a 1/4 inch vacuum line off the intake manifold into the actual box because the map sensor's built in. Not sure if I'm going to sound dampen the entire floor. If I do, I'm going to have to throw this carpet away because we made this from house carpet and it's been all cut and fit to the bottom of the floor. It turned out really awesome, but it's over 20 years old. And if I tear it out, I'll just get a molded piece of carpet to put back in there. The sound dampener makes a huge difference, both in the temperature on the inside of the car and the noise level. So it would be a really good idea. Got everything electrically done. It's time to get the carburetor on it. So got a new gasket, and I'm gonna throw my CNC ported super sucker spacer on there. So if you've got a hole going through your firewall like this and you don't have a grommet to fit it, what you can do is take a piece of vacuum line and slice it along the length this way so you can open it up. And then I'll be able to put it around the wiring like this and have it connect like that, and I'll have a grommet going around the wiring, protect it from rubbing through on the firewall. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's loud. All right, oil pressure.
Sounded like it was drumming.
No, do I have spark? Yeah, it just needs fuel.
Just remember, no antifreeze.
It's alive! She's alive.
I'm so excited for you.
It's gonna run.
Oh, what's that?
It's called transmission fluid. Oh. It's going through the cooler. You can hear it air bubbling.
Yeah.
So that sounds really crazy though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not like just running out the bottom.
No, it's not. I think it pumped a bunch of transmission fluid through the cooler.
Sweet.
It's getting all the air bubbles out of it. I gotta say, that's a pretty exciting moment. Car finally runs after 2 years of being broken. Obviously, I still have a lot to do. There's there's no cooling system. The water pump's not even installed all the way. Need to get new brackets for the alternator and power steering. I still have to run the vacuum line. I got to plug off a couple of these vacuum lines. I got to run a transmission vacuum line. Wire in the alternator once it actually gets relocated. Probably the next part of the process is going to be to get my dashboard fixed so I can get my gauges and stuff installed. I'm going to try and see what we can do about fixing all these cracks by putting a glue-on dash cover. Never used one before. We'll see how well it works. Can't look worse than what it does now. So, and then wipers, and I hope everything else works on this car because we have less than 100 days till the Hot Rod Power Tour, but my car runs. As you can see, I've got the dash partially disassembled. I thought it may have been possible to put this slip over dash in while the dash was in the car. I'm starting to think that's not going to be the best way to do it, and I should just remove the entire dashboard. These cracks have actually swollen the dash, and I'm not sure that the cover piece, I think I should glue the dash the day before and squeeze it to try and get some of them bumps out of there, so that way when I put the cover on, they don't make it look all wavy. I've never done this before. I have no idea if it's gonna work. It was pretty inexpensive for what I hope covers up some pretty nasty scars on the dash that have been there for the entire life that I've owned the car. I've taken and removed every single wire from the back of the dashboard. All of the instrument clusters completely removed. I tried unplugging the radio, but the plug is stuck in the radio now, so I had to cut the wires that I had already wired in. And remove some of the trim pieces. Now I gotta try and get this thing out of the car. Hold it behind me. I gotta move my shifter. Okay. Well. Oh, maybe. Okay. Well, I wondered if I had to take the steering column completely down, and the answer to that question has been confirmed as a yes. So I have to remove the steering column before I can take the dash out. I've dropped the column down by taking the 2 bolts out that held it to the bottom of the dash, and I got it sitting on a box so there's not too much stress on the firewall plate where it actually goes through. Hopefully that's enough room and I don't have to take it out from below the firewall. Let's try this again. Alright, and I gotta hold it with my knee again. Oh, look at that. It comes out. All right. Okay. Now with the dashboard removed, I'm going to go ahead and take my radio back out of it. And we're going to get these cracks completely repaired. Well, I got to here, decided that my home carpeting, this was actually 20 years ago. My buddy had this color that went pretty good with the car, but it's actually just house carpet. And the only problem with that is it's a little bit faded in a couple areas. And with me driving this on a long trip, I want some kind of a heat barrier and a sound barrier underneath the carpet. I have decided to order a black carpet, and I am going to cover the entire floor in this sound dampening material to try and keep the heat from the exhaust coming through the floor. Looks like I'm going to be in great shape just by holding the bracket up to where the holes should bolt to the block. It's going to move my alternator from right up here to off to the side down here, and my center of my pulley is going to be about right here. The power steering looks to be in about the exact same position, but they totally take this alternator and kind of tip it sideways and put it down here. So should give me total hood clearance, and actually pretty nice lightweight bracket. Probably loses a little bit of weight, but came with all stainless steel hardware, and from Summit Racing it was only right around $100. So this should fix my issue. This must be the rear bracket that'll bolt off the back of the cylinder head, and then the alternator will fit between there. So actually I will say there is quite a bit of a weight difference. And earlier I was saying I wanted to get my sandblaster out to clean it up. I'm obviously glad I didn't, because I would have wasted my time, because I can't even use this. Well, I got to say that fit awesome. It's going to go right underneath the hood without any issue at all. It did lighten it up quite a bit over that cast aluminum bracket, and they look really good. So I'm going to finish off the install with a brand new belt tensioner. So we're going to get this guy tossed in there, and should be good as new. Well, I'm starting to get the exhaust figured out. I got the pipes all supported, and that's about how low they're gonna go. The muffler, I can probably go up a little bit higher then, but should give me plenty of ground clearance. I've got that all kind of fitted in here where it's gonna be at. I do have to order some more parts, unfortunately. I did not have enough pipe, but it's gonna look pretty good. Well, as you can see, the crack in the dash has got me to completely gut the interior to put in some kill mat. But here's something that I'm gonna fix. I bought new 6x9s, and when I first built this car, I had mounted the 6x9 in the bottom of the trunk, which were these guys back here. And I had them going up because when you try to put the 6x9 in the hole, it didn't fit on the top. So I had mounted it underneath and had it like bolted between, like had the grill bolted on top and had the speaker mounted on the bottom, and it never sounded good. So I'm going to take this time to actually enlarge these holes so that this speaker can sit down in, and I'm going to enlarge the hole on the back deck and probably recover it, just because it's going to sound so much better to have that speaker mounted, and it's going to look so much better, especially with this grill, because I didn't realize the grill had this 2 pieces. So if I mount the speaker underneath, there's going to be a huge depth difference on, well, I'll show you here. This speaker is going to be mounted like this, and so instead of it sitting flush and it looks really good, there'd be a big gap there. So I get to cut all of this metal away. Well, so another thing I'm gonna do, not sure how good the camera shows it up, but you can kind of see where the sun didn't get to the purple, and it's still a nice deep purple, and this is all faded out and looks like crap. I tried spraying some stuff on it, doesn't matter, it just absorbed it and still looked bad. So we're gonna replace the rear deck lid with probably black vinyl, because I have it already. And this purple stuff, even on the door frame here, you can see it just stained and looks like crap. So we're going to replace probably all of this with black vinyl, the whole door panel. The driver's side is like got tape holding it on because it had torn, because this material just wasn't very strong. Yeah, I needed to get a new door handle because this side's broken. But I'm starting to get the sound deadener in. I got the entire rear almost done, and that's when I decided to look at this and realize it just looked bad, and no matter how much time I've spent cleaning it, it's going to be easier to rewrap it with the black vinyl and it'll look better. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so this is my new back dash. Recoated the panel with this black vinyl. Stuff's pretty thick and heavy, so it was hard to work with, but it should be very durable. It's an outdoor industrial vinyl, so I'm not gonna have to worry about it fading out from the sun. Speakers are mounted. I don't have them actually screwed in yet, but they're gonna actually pinch the dash together, which I put the kill mat all the way across the back deck, sealed up any of the holes. I left this one so I could kind of work through it. We'll get this all sealed up and finish getting the sound deadener in here and get the carpet back in. Yeah, so mounting the speakers this way, instead of having a big gap in between this part and this part, I'm really happy with the way it looks. I have this steering column that was out of a Chevy Blazer. It was a column shift, but I'm going to just knock the rivet and take the handle out. It'll still have this nub here, but I will sacrifice having this nub for having the ability to have a tilt column with my wiper switch and my cruise control switch on the column, and I'll be able to wire those in and hopefully get cruise control to work. In order to make this happen, what I have to do is I have to switch over the ignition switch so that the wiring harness is correct. This plate, I also am going to have to take the high beam switch because this one's missing. And then this plate on the end, I'll have to take and cut all the way around here and grind this down and remove this plate and then come over here, drill the spot welds on the original, and put this plate to cover my firewall in order to close it in. So it'll be a little bit of work, but having a tilt wheel is much better in my opinion. Okay, well, I don't have enough sound deadener to finish the car, but I got the entire back dash underneath the new dashboard I recovered. The back here's done and the floor's done. Now I have to sort through and kind of straighten out some of these wires. All right, so I gotta say, I got it out of the box. It's kind of nice. It comes with the pad on the back of it for heat resistance and sound deadening, just kind of like a factory carpet would. It's got the reinforcement pad for your feet down here. Yeah, for being stuffed in such a tight box, it laid out pretty good. I have to figure out exactly where it goes, and they did not put any holes in it for the seats or the seat belts. So we had to get it exactly where it goes before we cut those holes and make it fit. There's also, for the center console, they didn't cut these through either, which is the metal mounts that are supposed to come up through the carpet, I believe. That way the center console doesn't hold the carpet. Yeah, you're gonna want this to fit tight, so we're gonna have to cut this here. I did cut the holes for where the center console bolts to the floor. I have not located the holes for the seat belts yet. Doesn't fit perfect, but it fits pretty dang good. Well, the exhaust, with the exception of what I'm going to do with the turn downs for the cutouts, is finally completed. I got myself the Flowmasters stuck up under there, and I brought the pipe up over the axle, and I made a dump right out of there. So that's the current exhaust. I used to have different mufflers that had a cutout right on the muffler, but they were all rusted out, so I went with stainless this time. The only thing I have left to do is 3 more hose clamps on the heater hose bypass, and the cooling fan. I do need to repaint this just because it looks terrible, and I want to remount it with some better rubber because it was starting to rub on the corner of my radiator, right in here. And I definitely don't want metal to metal contact with the radiator and anything else, because we're going to be on power tour this year, and last thing I want is a hole in the radiator. Trying to show you this, what I did was I took the plate off the old steering column and cut it to put it back on here, so this is where it's going to meet up with the firewall. So once I get that installed, I'll have to weld that. Got a super loud fuel pump, which I definitely need to change that because I don't want to listen to that on power tour. And it sounds pretty dang good. I got great oil pressure. Doesn't really want to idle, but that's not super surprising right out of the box here. We do a little carburetor adjusting. Make sure I don't have anything leaking out of it here. What the hell is that? I've got coolant pouring out. I got antifreeze dripping out of somewhere really bad. What? check where I'm sitting at on the... What the heck? Alright, let me keep going. What is this coolant from? You freaking kidding me? That gasket's leaking. Well, first time I used Summit head gasket, I believe I got a defective one. Are you freaking kidding me? I have a external head gasket leaking here. 100%. That is coolant. Coming from my cylinder head gasket. I really don't have time for this. What the hell? I don't know what just happened, but my head gasket didn't seal. I have no idea why. New bolts, new gasket, head was milled. Well, that's an unfortunate surprise for today. Really? That kind of sucks. Disaster before I even get to test drive it. Looks like I'm taking my engine back apart. I don't even understand. I did question how the gasket fit right here. I was noticing this and how like it looked like the gasket came out around the corner here. But I didn't see anything when I was putting them together. I've never used these gaskets before. But I thought they'd be more than sufficient to cure it. I'm kind of wondering if that's not... Maybe I got the wrong gasket. That's not fun. That's not fun at all. I'm going to put some pressure on it, see exactly where it's leaking from. And then, head gasket repair on my LS. Well, something's wrong here. You can see it dripping right off the head gasket. I don't really see any signs of leakage on this head. But this gasket, not the same results over here. I really don't understand. That is not at all what my goal for this weekend was. Absolutely baffled. Oh my God, this is so depressing. Yay, I get to take it back apart again and spend more money. Oh, this definitely should not have happened. I should have bought Felpro gaskets, and instead I thought I was upgrading because I bought these steel shim gaskets from Summit. They were like steel shim, so I thought they were going to be performance, like better than stock. I get to pull the head off and find out what went wrong, and I'm probably not trusting the other head gasket because we're probably going to end up doing both of them because something, I don't know, something went wrong. Although I don't know exactly what happened, it does appear that after finally getting my car to run, after about 3 months of putting it together, I get to take the engine back apart because the driver's side cylinder head doesn't seem to hold coolant. I don't know why. Time will tell once I get it pulled apart and I figure out what happened. But the head was machine flat. The deck surface was clean. They're brand new Summit Racing gaskets. Brand new Felpro bolts. I don't know don't know what went wrong other than the fact that I'm draining fluids out of my engine and gonna completely strip this engine down and figure out what went wrong right now. Well, I pulled it down to here and I pulled the intake first, but I pulled the exhaust manifold and then I checked the head bolts and none of them are loose. Every one of them is tight. Like, the head was torqued. It's still dripping antifreeze right out of it, so the only thing I can do is continue to pull the valve cover, rocker arms, all of the pulley system off. And we're gonna get the cylinder head off and see what actually happened. But this is a disaster. So, see absolutely nothing wrong with that surface. Gasket's in there right. It's got front and rear for direction. Says it fits a 4.8 and a 5.3. That makes no freaking sense. This is the hole that I saw sticking out of the corner, which, yeah, that shouldn't make a difference. This cylinder head has this notch right here. And the coolant probably was weeping across here. That's my problem. This freaking head gasket wasn't designed for this cylinder head with this notch. I don't even know why that notch is in there. Is it on both sides? It's got to be. The other one probably just sealed up. Yeah, it's... Fudge! Yeah, it's got the same thing on this side. There's a little notch in that gasket surface, and that's my problem. These Summit gaskets, right through that area right there, this line of sealant is too small, and so water was weeping right out of this hole, and that's why it was dripping right off of this tab. That is a kick in the sack. Apparently these head gaskets will not work with these small chamber heads, and I just learned this tonight. Well, at least I found the problem. I do want to kind of scream right now. That's it right there. These head gaskets are incompatible with these heads. F. I wonder if someone will do anything about it. Probably not. It's my fault. Well, it's, I don't know. Damn it. Alright. So if I slide the bolt hole over to where the notch is in the cylinder head, you can see the line that's supposed to seal the coolant. And it's, yeah, it's just coming right out of there. Live and learn. So I just did a little research at some images on Google, and it looks like this is the only cylinder head, this, what, 862, that has this little notch cut out of it here. These are off of a 99. This little notch caused all of my problem. And why that sucks is because right here, this fits your 99 Silverado 1500 5.3. Not really my fault, due to lack of knowledge as to the cylinder head working with these head gaskets, but the difference in these heads over other heads is this little notch isn't here on the majority of all other LS heads other than these 862s. So if I basically had any other cylinder head, I never would have had this problem and this would have worked fine. So that's my luck. That's my luck. I've talked to Summit, and they saw that, yeah, it was supposed to fit, and it said it was supposed to fit, but it doesn't fit. So I got a different steel shim gasket coming, and you can see right in here they reinforced this area where the notch is with more of the silicone to actually seal the gasket. So they're going to defect these out. I'm going to be able to return these and the head bolts. So I have a new set, 2 new sets of head bolts coming and 2 new gaskets coming. So obviously it ran, it will run. This is just an absolute unforeseen thing. There was no footnotes or anything like that. So apparently I'm the test guy for this particular head gasket from Summit to let them know to put a footnote in there that if you have 99 or the 862 castings, these gaskets aren't going to work. New gaskets on the way, and this thing will be put back together next week. Should be here Monday or Tuesday, I hope.